Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Holdsworth Homestead. So normally I do a lot of videos about aquaponics, but today we've got some baby chicks. So I wanted to do a video about chickens, because that's one of the things that we also do here at the Holdsworth Homestead. Typically we keep somewhere around 40 or so chickens, and it's November. Not usually the time of year that we usually get chickens. Usually around January or February in Florida is when we usually start. I'll usually get baby chicks or start hatching them around January or February and keep them indoors until it's a little bit warmer. Usually around the time when they're 6 weeks old or so is when we bring them outside after kind of the danger of cold has passed. But I went a little crazy. Our feed store got in some silky chicks. And as they say, chickens are like potato chips. You can't have just one. So, 1, 5, 40. Silky chicks are a little bit more delicate, and they lay fewer eggs than most of your chickens, but you don't see them around all that often. And I found out our feed store had some, so of course I had to get some. So it's kind of the wrong time of year. I didn't really need more chickens, but I got some anyway. I've actually got 4 of these guys right now, and I just moved the other 2 out into their brooder box, and I'm going to move these ones here shortly. The other thing with silky chicks is they are not sexed, so maybe I got 4 roosters. I don't know. The one advantage with getting chicks from a feed store is most of the time when you get them, they are already sexed, so a lot of times you know that you're getting hens rather than get roosters. So that's the one advantage of getting them from the feed store as opposed to hatching out your own. But I just kind of want to go over some of the setups that we have for the new chicks. Right here, this is just a 27-gallon Rubbermaid tote, and that's sufficient for the first week or 2. These chicks are about 2 weeks old. And so I only had 4 of them in here. So when they're just a couple days old, they don't need a ton of room, but I don't like to keep them in here too often. You have to keep this clean quite frequently because you don't want them walking around in their own waste. They make quite a big mess, and you want to keep them with fresh water every single day, fresh food pretty frequently. And you want to keep them under a heat lamp. They want to stay about 100 degrees, but you also want to give them some room to get away from the heat lamp so that they don't overheat either. So they do grow pretty quickly, and we keep them in some type of brooder box, like I said, usually for about 6 weeks or so. But they only stay in a small container like this for about 2 weeks, and then I move them out to a larger brooder box that I'm going to show you here in a minute. At about that time, and then after about 6 weeks they go into what I call the mini coop. And so I'll kind of show you all the stages of raising chickens that we go through on the Holdsworth Homestead. But as far as their heat lamp, they have a red light that's 250 watts. Try to keep them about 100 degrees. Our inside temperature here, we're in the laundry room, keep our house temperature about 74 degrees. One of the other ways that you can raise chickens, so this is an incubator, and right here you'll see that 99.5. So you want to keep your egg temperature at 99.5. And this is an incubator that's got an automatic turning tray. So you put the eggs in the incubator kind of with the cone side down and the larger oval side up. And I want to say, let's see, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, and I think you can put 7 or so eggs in each row. So this will fit 42 eggs. You don't have to put them in immediately, but I think you have to, usually eggs that are, I would say, 3 to 7 days within collecting. If you keep them about room temperature, collect them within a week or so. Usually we try to do eggs within about 3 days of them being laid that we put them in. And then it takes the eggs about 3 weeks or 21 days. And we'll leave them, sometimes 23 days, even 24 to get them to hatch. But usually 21 to 23 days is what they take to hatch. We've taken eggs to our daughter's school before, let the classroom hatch them out. And the one disadvantage with doing it with an incubator is typically it's kind of more of 50-50 shot if you're gonna get hens or if you're gonna get roosters. So that is the one advantage most of the time of going to the feed store, is you're more guaranteed to get hens. Most of the time they are sexed in advance. However, like I said, with these silkies, they are not sexed. So I don't know if I got hens or if I got roosters, but I'm willing to take a chance. So they give you directions with these incubators. Like I said, this one comes with an automatic egg turner, which is nice. I did buy this one used, so saved a little bit of money there. But you want to make sure you stay at that 99.5 degrees temperature, and every day you add water to this to keep up the humidity. So I'll kind of show you in the bottom right here. This is for putting water in the bottom, and what these little troughs do are hold the water so that you can maintain your humidity. And then a couple days before the chicks are due to hatch from the eggs, you take the turner out and then take this piece of hardware cloth or metal, put that in the bottom, and then you lay the eggs flat on top of that. So you don't want the chicks to hatch out on top of the egg turner and then get all caught up in there and get injured. This is what the top of the incubator looks like. That's your little temperature control. It's very sensitive, so kind of once you get to an adjustment point, you leave it there, and then you've got a couple ventilation holes here, which you can keep open or plug. We usually just keep them open, and again, that kind of controls your temperature and your humidity. So I'm going to show you now where we go from this Rubbermaid bin to our brooder box over on the Florida room out on the porch. Still keep some good temperature control for these guys, but kind of move them outside a little bit, out to the Florida room, still under heat lamp. So I've got 2 in here, and I moved 2 outside just to kind of show you. In a few minutes I'll move these ones to join the other 2. So I haven't moved over their water and their food yet, but just kind of wanted to give you an idea. So this is a larger size brooder box that I kind of built out of a wooden crate. These are their other 2 buddies that I just moved over. Probably kind of confused right now. This wood crate that I got is probably about 2.5 feet by maybe 4 feet. And then it's got a couple foot high walls on it. The cool thing is it's already kind of sitting on top of a pallet. And what I did is I cut out the bottom of this. So what's nice is instead of having the chicks kind of sitting in the pine shavings, this is what's called hardware cloth, or just a small screen metal. The chicken waste just kind of drops right through the bottom, which is nice, so that they're not sitting in a bunch of pine shavings and waste. But you want to be careful of their little feet too, so that their feet don't get damaged, which is why I keep them in the box with the pine shavings for the first couple weeks until their feet are a little bit more developed. So like I said, they're missing their food and their water right now, and I'll move that over in just a few minutes. But I want to put these 2 chicks in, just kind of for a size reference of the box. And then this is the lid, because another week or so these guys will start flying around. They've got their wing feathers starting to come in. So when these guys are little, we bring them inside, hold them on the couch at night. You can kind of see these silkies, they've got little feathers on their feet, but they'll fit right in your hand right now. They're still pretty small, pretty easy to pick up and handle, but you can see they're already starting to get ready to fly around. So the more you handle them, the friendlier they're gonna be. Fun little critters to play with. So anyway, this is their brooder box, a little bit bigger than a Rubbermaid bin. And like I said, what's nice is the bottom of this is carved out. You can see this was a dishwasher box. Nice cardboard bottom on this thing. And then once you collect the chicken waste on the bottom, you can use that as compost. I take the chicken waste from my coop and put it on my fruit trees. So just big circle of life type deal, makes good fertilizer. Okay, so we'll go outside, go head over to the big chicken coop. A couple of years ago, we built a big chicken coop that's about 20 feet by 30 feet, roughly. Got some telephone poles. Ooh, there's a hawk sitting on the edge of the chicken coop right now. There he goes. So this is the big chicken coop. We actually have 2 coops. The other one's a little bit older. It's about 8 years old. It's about 8 feet by 32 feet. So this is a pretty fancy chicken coop. Like I said, all the corner posts and everything are built out of telephone poles. So it's pretty heavy duty. And within this chicken coop, there's actually 2 divided rooms to make it extra predator proof. So we close these guys up at night. So there's somewhere around 30 chickens or so in this coop, and the other one's got about 9. So like I said, we keep about 40 or so chickens at any given time. A little bit more than that with the babies. So this guy here with the gold, that's one of the 2 roosters that we have right now. And then that's the other rooster. We had a few more. We got up about 10 roosters, but when you get up to that many, they stress out the hens. They're screaming really loud. You don't need that many roosters, and that's just a bunch of extra mouths to feed. So at that point, we make some rooster stew, and that's just part of farm life. So you can see this is one of the rooms. So if you want to have 2, couple rooms, or you got sick chickens or younger chickens, or different batches of chickens, you can divide them out. This other room, we have plywood walls to make it extra predator proof. So that's where we close them up in at night. That's where all their roosts are, so that at nighttime you can't have any raccoons or anything reaching through, the chicken wire to grab their necks or anything like that, because predators will do that. When chickens sleep, they just get really dopey and they're not even paying attention, and that's a good way to get them killed. Because predators will just reach right through that mesh and just grab them and kill them. So anyway, this is what I like to call the mini coop. This is about 3 feet by 8 feet by about 3 feet tall or so on the inside. So this is kind of neat. It's got its own double set of doors here. Just open this guy up. And so when the chickens are about 6 weeks old or so, we put them in here until they're, medium-sized chickens or so. And then typically put them in their own room here until they're decent size, until we're ready to let them interact with the rest of the chickens. So they kind of go through 3 phases from the time they're baby chicks to adults. They start in their little Rubbermaid bin, and then they go to what I call the brooder box, and then they go to the mini coop. And then a lot of times we'll have them in their own dedicated room, this one that I'm standing in, before they get released to the general population. So we kind of have a whole mix of chickens, from named breeds like the Barred Rock and the Rhode Island Red, some black Australorps, to kind of just, let's see, that's an Americana over there, the one that we kind of call them hawk chickens. Some of these chickens, the first batch we have, are probably about 9 years old at this point. Original to the Holdsworth Homestead, gifted from a friend. I don't even know if they're laying eggs at this point, but I feel like if they're 9 years old, they've earned their time and they deserve to hang around. There's, I think, one of the black Australorps that we have, maybe that one. I think she's one of the original ones that we still have. That's probably about that 9 years old. So we've got some name breeds from the feed store. Golden Lace Wyandotte over there. Silver Lace Wyandotte back in the corner. Silly little white Frizzle. Hi, Frizzle. There's a brown Frizzle in the other one. And then there's just kind of some chicken mutts hanging around that we've hatched out ourselves. This big girl here with the fuzzy feet. So like I said, there's around 30 or so in here, and then about 9 in the other coop, and then we've got the 4 silky babies. So plenty of room for them in here. And like I said, this is our second room where we close them up at night. And then I'm about due to go through and scoop up the hay, kind of where they sit and poop, and then pick that up and put it on my fruit trees. Makes really good fertilizer. These are our nest boxes, and you can see we've got all these lovely nest boxes, but the chickens all like to lay their eggs in the same one, of course. So you've got one chicken that's trying to lay her eggs and then one that's jumping right up in there on top of her, because why would you use all the space that you have? So anyway, that's pretty much the gist of the Holdsworth Homestead chickens. From starting with chickens a couple days old, going from the Rubbermaid bin to the brooder box, out to the mini coop, and then joining the general population of the chickens.